Hello, my friends. My name is Jakeb Livengood, your host of Living Good with Jakeb Livengood. Today, we have a guest. This is Elijah Newton. I will have him introduce himself, and we are going to talk and have a beautiful discussion. Elijah, how are you?
I'm doing great, man. How about yourself?
Dude, I'm absolutely extraordinary. There's no such thing as a life better than mine, right?
There we go.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please introduce yourself and what happened that made you come to be today.
So my name's Elijah Newton. A lot of you guys actually know me as the kid who used to throw celebrity parties. It was living in the highest penthouse in the city of Arizona. And a lot of people saw me as the persona that was, the networker, the dude throwing elite parties with, Nelk Boys or Sean O'Malley or Lil Xan or people like that. But behind the curtains, lies a whole different person. And the journey that I went on, is filled with a lot of loss. And I think a lot of the lifestyle that the people knew me for was more of a facade, a face that I was putting on to hide the pain or to run from a reality. I wasn't actually, pushing myself to do hard things. I was chasing pleasure. I was a clown. I was trying to entertain the public, and I hurt a lot of people in that journey because I was very narcissistic and self-pleasing, and I hurt my family. I hurt women. I hurt a lot of people. So, a lot of people, what they seem to like you for usually isn't true who you truly are. It's the mask you put on. And so my mission is now going through a lot of trauma. I lost my brother who died a few years ago. I lost my uncle to suicide. I lost my grandpa, my grandma, many close friends. And this was over a course of a few years. And so I experienced lots of trauma. And I also spent a lot of time alone, a lot of time in silence, a lot of time thinking about reality and why we're here. And so now my journey is to help people that, maybe have obtained a little bit of success, but they're still not fulfilled. Because you could be living this life that, as a kid you dreamed of, or you might start making money fast. And before you know it, you're hanging out with hot chicks, you're doing all the things that you thought would make you happy, but inside you're freaking dead and you're unfulfilled and you're still depressed and you hate yourself because you're not actually proud of yourself. You don't have a mission in life. You don't know where you're going. And life, I believe heaven and hell are states of consciousness that you experience on earth, right? So yeah, everyone's like, oh, I'm just going to wait till I go to heaven. Hopefully God forgives me of all my sins and I go to heaven. Dude, you could be living in the state right now of tranquility, of listening to that voice that is for you, that is not there to shame you. All these lies you're fed by society, they're to strike fear into you, to put you in a state of hell, to put you in a cell while you're still on this earth. And I want to help people realize the cell they're in, because a lot of people aren't aware of, first of all, how they got there. They wake up one day and they're like, how the fuck did I get here in life? I don't know why I'm here. And they want to get out, but they don't believe in themselves. They have an identity problem because they've listened to what every single other person wants them to be, wants them to do or accomplish, their father, their friends, their teachers, and they've got this idea by society of what should I be? How am I supposed to act? And they become a clown and they get sick. One day you're going to get sick of being a clown. I'm sorry, but I don't care how much money you have. I don't care how many girls you slept with. It doesn't matter. What matters is when you go to sleep at night, are you happy with the way that you had an effect on other people? Do people in your life actually love you? Are people in your life actually there for you? Would people actually take a bullet for you? And if the question is no, then I'm sorry, but I don't care what your personal brand is, how famous you are, but you have a lot of work to do. And you're going to have to go through a series and a journey of healing. And that takes silence. That takes isolation. That takes actually facing your problems head on, shutting your fucking mouth and stop bitching about life, because it's not going to get better, And God is a very, very resourceful person when you actually talk to them, And so avoiding actually loving people, avoiding forgiving people, and listening to these lies that are holding you back, even though those lies might get you what you want immediately, it's going to kill you 30 years from now, literally kill you.
Yep.
You look around, all these people, I don't want to be too judgmental, but half the girls I went to high school with, they're obese, and they have kids that don't have dads. And, the same decision they are making right now is the same decision that you can change, do a complete 180 and say, hey, I'm not going to be like them. I'm not going to end up that way. But most people are not aware, and they don't want to wake up. They take that fast pleasure, and they're not willing to spend time alone, figure themselves out, and say, hey, do I actually want to stop hurting people? Do I want to stop living for myself? Do I want to support a family? Do I want a girl that's actually proud of me? That she wakes up every single day and she is so happy that she found that one man that believes in himself, believes in her, and will take that family to a place that she's never even dreamed of. And that's what a woman wants. That you buying her a Gucci bag isn't going to make her happy. She'll probably still cheat on you. So
yeah. Okay, so there's so much to unpack here for the audience, and that was your story is the absolute 100% epitome of the hero's journey, don't you think? Like, like the fact that you were worldly successful, connected to the top people in a lot of different industries, right? But you're living this life for the world, in the world, and you didn't find the fulfillment that hole that you were looking to fill. You didn't find it, even though you were at the pinnacle of what the world views as success, right? And then so you turned inward and decided, okay, so if I'm not going to fill the gap with this, I have to fill it with true love, real love, and that looks like doing the things necessary inside of myself, fixing the traumas inside of myself to then outwardly project that real, genuine, authentic love to the world. That is just a big key, man. I love that. So talk to me about what that journey looked like over the years. I mean, you touched on how there was a bunch of trauma, and would you say that the trauma, the things that you experienced in your life that were traumatic, that led to, like, did those lead to character development? Like, there's two paths you can take, right? The victim mentality or the growth-based mindset. And like, talk to me about how, like, do you believe that those traumas were necessary for course redirection to help you establish yourself in a higher vibrational state of love? Or what does that look like for you?
Well, I'll tell you this, Jacob. That lady that's pissed off right now because I just called her fat, and she's got, kids without a dad, and she still can't work out her problems. Okay. I can't judge her. That's reality. That's what's going on right now in society. And when you are a child and you're giving cookies, you're going to eat the whole cookie jar. You don't care about what's happening after. You care about right now. And our society right now is promoting degeneracy. And what I mean by degeneracy is pleasure in the now. Live in the moment, for the moment. FOMO, fear of missing out. Like, do everything right now. And I was a crazy child, man. Like, if you ever seen Jackass, that was me. My brother died on his motorcycle. We'd rip butt naked down the highway, going 80 miles an hour. And that was a typical Saturday night, drunk as shit, cocaine, excuse my language. But you want to live in the moment. And so I don't blame anybody. And I'll tell you this, from the moment that you start drinking alcohol, trying to fit in, and being a part of a society that is confused and brainwashed, but they don't know it yet, until you get sober for at least maybe 6 months or 3 months or a year, you're not going to realize what the fuck just happened, what just hit you. In fact, that whole entire period, it could be 10 years, it could be 20 years, it could be 3 years, it could be 6 months, but it's going to swish by and you were not who you were in that moment. So what I try to do is help people find who are you, because that's not who you were. In fact, that whole entire timeline of your life, you were influenced by lies. Everything society says is a lie. And so what lies are you believing why are you not making the right decisions? And why do you want to make the right decisions, right? And so as a kid, I really hated high school, dude. I saw so many people living lives that they just hated. I came here from Nashville, Tennessee, and it was a very creative, everyone was in their element, and like what we did for fun there is we played music, we jam out with homies, and we had a good time, and life was about community, about connection. It wasn't judgmental. And you come out to Arizona and everyone is so judgmental, and it's in a desert season. And if you live in a desert right now, just know that it is a season and you do not need to be there your whole life.
Man.
In a desert, there's nothing to do except for party, except for do degenerate stuff. And so your environment, actually, it can be the best thing for you, or it can be the worst thing. So when you're in a desert season, you need to fast. You need to get rid of all those things, all those lies, all the other people that are going to in a direction that's going to end in 10 or 20 years. But you might be 16 right now and you see all these parties and all this stuff. And I'm going to tell you right now, go to parties, network with people, but do not drink, do not act like them. Be your own person and decide what you actually believe. Do not be swayed by them. Do not believe what they believe, because what they believe is keeping them where they're at in that desert, in that land. And so, like, I feel like there's a lot of people that have anointings on them, right? Yep. And for me, I use that in the wrong direction. So I was throwing parties with hundreds of girls and 2 to 3 dudes. I did not like dudes, bro. Dudes would be begging to our parties. I was turning down celebrities. I mean, there would be girls running around the crib, throwing their tops off, and they felt safe around me because, all the other parties below is a bunch of, ghetto people trying to hit on them and make them feel this way. And I just didn't care because I was my own person, but I was lost. And I was attracting so many lost people. And what sucks is right now in our generation, the women are more lost than ever before. And it's because the men don't know how to be men. We had good times, the boomers, and it created a lot of weak people. And so all is, hey, I'm getting stuff handed to me. Maybe I'll go to college. Maybe I'll make, 80 grand a year and just get by. But you don't know who you are. You don't know what you want to be, where you want to go, what type of impact you want to make. And I truly believe that death itself is the most beautiful thing in life. When my brother died, I went through the most beautiful experience of my whole entire life. Because in that season of darkness, I had to figure out, okay, maybe this isn't just about my brother dying. Maybe I actually am living a life that's killing myself. Maybe I'm already dead too. What's the difference between heaven and hell, on earth, up there, down here? And I have the opportunity to make a difference. I have an opportunity to pull 180 and to help. And I was sitting there at the funeral, and he was a Marine infantry, and there's all these Marines in there, all infantry, all kill people. There's snipers in there, special forces. These are people that kill for a living. And I'm looking around, I'm like, why is it that they got to the point in life so young, 18, where they want to go kill people, And so I don't blame people for why you're at where you're at. I don't care if you're a drug addict. I don't care if you've killed somebody. I don't care if you've killed multiple people. I'm going to figure out who you actually are, because behind that, there's something that went wrong. There was a lie you believed, and now we need to get you out of that, because right now is what exists. Who you are right now, that's what matters. And so let's figure out where the fuck you messed up. And yes, you did mess up, and you have to admit that you messed up, because you're not going to change if you keep on playing the pity party, saying, hey, this person did this to me. Dude, forgive them. The dude that freaking slept with my girlfriend on Molly in front of me, and we're cool now. I forgave him. I saw him a week ago at a bar, and I gave him a hug. And that girl's pregnant with another dude now, and I won't say their names, and I only have love for them. At the time, I beat the crap out of that dude. I beat him half to death. and I would have killed him if somebody didn't stop me. Luckily, my brother was there and stopped me. And so, I've been in those situations, but I will tell you, holding on to that stuff and women screwing you over or you not getting what you want, holding on to that is killing you. It's putting you in a cell. You are literally living in a state of hell where you're chasing pleasures because what's already here, the air, the water, the family, the things that are here, it wasn't good enough for you. And why is that?
I wanna that was dude, you have a way with words. It's profound. I want to dissect some of the things you said, right? Like we live today in modern society in a very secular world. Like the culture has been completely like it's just degeneracy is celebrated and actually being locked in with being in a meaningful specific instead of a wandering generality is it's not celebrated. In fact, you're kind of viewed as like the weirdo, right? It's so secular, and it's because if you look at this from a biblical perspective, or if that's not really what you prescribe to, you look at it from the like new age spirituality look, like the divine and the negative, the enemy, the other side of the coin. This is the playground for free will, and so you can be swayed either way. And so we are seeing the pendulum swing heavily to the secular side, and it's celebrated. It's the regular, right? That's what is considered normal in the culture. And what you're calling for here is radical responsibility. Like instead of looking into it and going, oh, my life's so hard, ooh, boo, woo, my life's like, it's harder than everybody else. Nobody has to deal with the things I have to deal with, and then sit in your trauma and let that become your personality. You're calling for radical responsibility and saying, look, the hero's journey, if you want to change and you want to be truly, authentically 100% yourself and live in love, exude love outwardly to your entire reality, everyone around you, forgive everyone, and just truly be in that love and authenticity, you have to take radical responsibility for everything that's happened to you in your life and use that. Take that and look at the positive side of the coin. Instead of wallowing in the misery of the victim mentality, look at the positive side. What can I learn from this? What is life teaching me in this instance, in this circumstance? And how can I use that to refine and reforge my character to be better outwardly? I think that is a beautiful call. And I want to challenge what you said, right? Like the fat girl that hooked up with a guy that was not a true man, and now she's raising a kid alone and she's in this like difficult lifestyle. I think it's easier, right? Hearing a message like this for someone that is a wandering generality right now, which by the way, I came from a background partying, raving, drugs, escapism like that. And so like both of us to have had all this worldly success that we've had now, and we're doing it with God and we're doing it the right way intentionally, right? It just calls for the fact that your starting point doesn't really matter. Where you initially start doesn't matter. It's just where you're going. And if you have the discipline to bridge that gap between who you once were and who you're intending to become willfully with God. And so I'd challenge it to say like the people that are listening that are still wandering generalities, or that woman that's in victim mentality mindset, right? It's sort of our obligation as the chosen ones, the ones that are awake to the possibility of flipping that coin and becoming intentional and being divine and being righteous and living in the world, but not of the world, and being that light of the world that's the example to others. I kind of view it as our moral duty and obligation to share messages like this that not even may, it will challenge people's egos that are wandering generalities, and they'll have that initial temptation to get mad about it and be like, well, who are you to tell me what I'm supposed to do? And it's actually coming from a place of love where like, actually, I'm not telling you that I'm better than you or that, I'm more righteous than thou. People in this victim mentality state love to say you're holier than thou or stop proselytizing to me. And it's actually more of like, hey, I love you where you're at. I was in a situation highly similar to yours. Like even perhaps I came from somewhere that was further off the path than you. And I course corrected it over an extended period of time through a series of habits and disciplines and being willful and intentional in living in love and authenticity. And so it's like our moral duty and obligation to share messages like this that hopefully can bring some of those lost sheep back and put them on the right path, right? What do you think about that?
I'll tell you this. A lot of you guys watching this are in hell right now. And you're not going to like what I say next, It's going to destroy everything religion has tried to tell you guys to keep you in a box. Because what they say about hell, how God's going to burn people and make them suffer, it's not true. In fact, some of you guys are in hell right now and you don't even realize it. And there are people living in heaven on earth. And their relationships flourish. People love them. They love people. They serve people, and they enjoy that. They enjoy the simplicity of life. They don't need to chase highs. And so there's a story about the prodigal son, right?
Yes.
And it talks about how the father is reasoning with one of the son outside on the porch, and the other kid, he came home and he had done all this degeneracy stuff and this bad stuff, and they're throwing a party in the kitchen, and they're throwing a party and they're celebrating, and the other kid, he's talking there with the father about, why he was still right. And so that parable is actually about reality and the state of heaven and hell, right? So when you die, you actually go face to face with God. So a lot of people say you go heaven or hell. No, God is hell. Now, a lot of people are not going to like that, because you're going to be face to face with God. And what he's going to do is teach you how to love people, teach you how to forgive people so that you can be like him and eventually come to him. And now what happens in that state of hell, it's contemplation right now. It's contemplation of why am I not loving people? If you don't have love in your life, you're not loving people. You don't know what love is. Look up the verse on love in the Bible. It'll change your life. Meditate on the attributes every single day. But I will tell you, that is the gateway. Imagine there's these gates, and in between these gates is the fullness and the intricacies of what life could fully and beautifully should be. And that's what God wanted to happen, was to get to that state on earth. We're not just supposed to wait till we die to go to heaven. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. You know what I'm saying? So how do we get people there right now? Well, first you have to realize that you are in hell, and you're going to have to spend time, and you're going to have to get rid of all the noise. You're going to have to spend time in quietness, because you've been so programmed your whole entire life, told what to think, how to believe, what religion is, and it's not true. It's not true. What you need to do is learn how to love. You need to learn how to forgive yourself, forgive God for doubting him and not trusting him, because I guarantee you, I doubted God. I hated God, dude. I freaking ran from him my whole life. But God is so powerful, man. I went to Burning Man a few weeks ago with some missionaries, and I don't like church, bro. I don't go to churches, but these people, they were out there, and I was like, why are you guys here? You're Christians. Like, Christians don't want to be around naked people and druggies and all this stuff. And we're out there and we're just doing a drum circle, and we didn't use the word Jesus or God at all, because in fact, those words hurt a lot more people. You know how many girls go to church and they're told to fear God, when if you actually translate it, it means to be in awe of God.
Yeah.
But they don't tell that. They want you to pay tithes. They want you to pay their memberships. Go use that money to feed the poor, and go use that money to help the people in your life. And if the church is really helping you, yes, but I'm telling you, you cannot believe any man. You need to spend time alone, figure out what you believe, why you believe, spend time in silence, spend 5 minutes a day. And this is what we did at Burning Man. We invited people into a truth ceremony, which is where we would meditate for 5 minutes in silence, and we'd listen for the voice of truth.
Yeah.
It's not about what you're thinking. It's not about what you want. How can I listen to the voice of truth?
I think
and that'll set you free.
Beautiful things about what you said there is so the subsects of religion and what we're taught, the problem is why a lot of people have been burned is because we're seeing a lot of bigotry because of human error and the way that people that are walking in those circles, the modalities they're operating in are bigotry, right? Because they live for the world for the week, and then they go and celebrate in church, but they're not living by the principles that are taught. And like a true religion, as we're called in the Bible, we're actually called to render useful service to our fellow man and to live in love, to walk as Jesus would, right? And so that's not you do that on Sundays and then you're good. You've checked off the box for the week, so you can just go live a worldly life of sin for the rest of the 6 days of the week. That's not really what it is, right? And so individually, You're calling people to step back, sit in silence with yourself, come to understand what you believe, right? Maybe you don't want to call it Jesus Christ or God. Maybe you want to call it the universe or source, whatever it is that however resonates with you. Ultimately, what we're called to do is be the light of the world and render useful service to our fellow man. So if you are truly following that doctrine and you're doing it correctly, you are smiling at strangers. You're not holding in any compliments, right? When you see someone and you think of something, hey, I really like their hair, you tell them that, even if they're a stranger, even if it gives you like some bit of social anxiety, you're like, oh, well, what will they think? Ignore that thought, give it to them, because it's fully, truly, and authentically yourself, and that's giving love, right? We're called to render useful service. Perhaps you're listening to this, you have a specific skill set, or you have a passion or a hobby, and you're not utilizing that because you're still living in fear. You're stuck in the financial matrix. You're doing your job, barely getting by, barely having enough money to pay your bills at the end of every month. And you're not actually in the outer world externalizing that passion, that gift that was given to you. That gift was given to you with the intention to serve the world utilizing that gift. And if we have enough people utilizing their true gifts and being fully, truly present and authentic and in love to outer reality and rendering useful service, this whole secular narrative that we have in the overall culture of the world, it would flip-flop so fast all the way back to love, right? It's a pendulum, and it swung so far to the secular divisiveness and hate and fear doctrine that we're on the upswing, right? We have to switch back to love and authenticity and back with God, right? And I see that happening. Beautiful conversations like this are happening, right? Humanity is waking up to their own divinity, right? And I think it's beautiful. And I think it's taking us to a place where if you are in that place where you're not fully living for, you know, your full truest expression of self, and you don't love your life, like I wake up now, and back in 2017, 2018, I hated myself. I'd wake up and every day I'd be like, oh, another day, like I'm here again. I don't even know what I'm supposed to do. And I hate the reality I'm living in. And I immediately start going to smoking, drinking at 9 a.m, right? Now I wake up every day, and the first, I've got a smile ear to ear across my face. And I'm like, dude, God, thank you for waking me up. I don't know what my purpose is today, but I know that I still have purpose here because you woke me up. So I'm going to go walk out into the world and serve my purpose. Perhaps that looks like I have a valuable conversation with a homeless person. Perhaps that looks like I give a compliment to someone in the gym that looks a little bit down in the dumps. Little do I know that person was contemplating deleting themselves later that day because they feel like they're all alone. And my compliment actually gave them that little bit of love that they needed to no longer be thinking about that. You see what I'm saying? So we need to serve humanity as a whole. And it can be so minuscule, but it's just the intentionality, switching that switch on and going forward in your life that way. It will make all the difference in the world. It really will.
Yeah. Beautiful smile, brother. That smile, that simple, small smile will change the world. And I'll tell you this, we're actually born from love. Your spirit, you don't have to be a Christian to have the Holy Spirit. In fact, that spirit is what created humanity, you know? And we are such a beautiful species that the God even sent the devil to serve us. And that's why he's jealous, right? So you got these two voices in your head. And when you mess up and you do something bad, what the church tells you is, oh, that's God saying you sin, you're going to hell. No, dude, you got to listen. That is the devil. That is a thought that you've adopted about yourself that is a lie. That is not God. God's sitting there going, I get it. You messed up. You know, I get it. You know, it's okay. And he's there. And what he does is he loves you until you begin to love yourself in that area. And that love is what brings people, because God is love, right? So we got to stop talking about all these people put God in a box. Think about, how can I love myself and fully express that love to other people? And how do people come to knowing love itself? They experience it. So religion, pushing that on people, pushing your beliefs, it actually hurts people. It actually hurts your kids when you try to control them too much and they don't know how to think. What you can do is you can go low and you can serve and love people. And through that, they experience love. And what happens, you start to lose desire for all those things that we're putting you in a box. You don't have to live in this cell anymore. I understand that you feel trapped. But God is not mad at you. He is with you. He's saying, it's okay. I get it. I'm not mad at you. I love you. You were born from love. That's who you are. So now how do I go from that and express that? You know? And what's happening in society now is people are feeling condemned by God when that is the devil doing that. Yes. And we are being fed lies on TikTok 24/7. And there's noise and there's music and all these things programming us different lies into our head to the point to where we don't even know ourselves, because deep inside of you, there's love. How do we go back to the source? And that could take 2 years. That could take 2 years of you having to stay away from people until you're willing to forgive them.
Yeah. I think one of the most important keys to pull from what you just said is you have the two voices in your head. You have source, you have God, you have purity, love, authenticity, and then you have the enemy. You have the opposite thoughts, right? And it's important to note that you are the awareness of your being. You're not some like weird meat suit that has flesh and bones and you're not this thing. You are a spiritual being having a human experience, and you're the conscious awareness behind your thoughts. And so when a thought pings into your mind, that's not necessarily your thought. And then so to then connect to that thought, whether that be a self-serving thought, whether that be a thought from source and God and divinity, whether that be a self-deprecating thought, if you attach yourself to every thought that you have, whether it's good or bad, and you ride that rabbit hole all the way down, you could be straying further away from the path or walking the path, depending on which one you're listening to. So it's very important, not necessarily to keep your guard up, but to stay in a state of presence and full authenticity to know, okay, a thought pops into your head and you go, well, how is this thought? Where is this leading me? Is this truly from love? Is this from authenticity? Is this a thought that comes from my insecurities that's not really going to help me at all? Like, is this a thought from hate? And so it's very important to be diligent, and you are not your thoughts, you are your actions. You are the person that you actually do. If you have a thought that isn't necessarily the best, but then you choose to not act on it, and in fact, you choose to go the exact opposite 180 way because you go, hey, this is actually what I should be doing. And then you do that action, you're the action. You're not the thought initially, right? And so it's really important to make that distinction. You're the awareness of self, not your thoughts as they are.
Yes. And so we actually live in a world where there are laws of things that do work. And the highest frequency, vibration you can be at is authenticity.
Yes.
Until you know who you are, the love, where that is coming from, and how you can express that into your life and to the people around you, you are out of frequency. And I will challenge you guys. I know there are lots of people watching this that may be in OnlyFans. They may be doing, in gang life. My little brother was in the gang life for years. And guess what? I'm not telling you to leave. I'm telling you to spend time alone, connect with that source of love, and learn from it. Maybe you are where you're supposed to be right now. And maybe once you express that love, everything around you will change. You don't have to abandon everything like the church tells you to. It could take you 2 or 3 years till you even get the confidence to walk away. But what I will tell you is that connecting to that source of life is what is keeping you alive. It is the air. It is the water. And so the farther you disconnect from that, the more you lose touch of who you used to think you were. You lose touch of who you were as a child. Like what did you want to be as a child? What did you feel like when you were a child? What was the energy like? And you totally abandon that kid.
Yeah.
Do you ever talk to him? Do you ever go back to that state? When was it when you abandoned him? When was it when you abandoned her, that little girl that just wanted to look at flowers and see her dad, come home, and what was it that made you leave that state? And when you look at the perspective as everybody is experiencing this life where there's pain and there's suffering. You have to forgive them because it's going to help you. And right now, it's hurting a lot of people. But most importantly, it's hurting yourself. Because when you go back to that true state, it doesn't matter what you own. It doesn't matter what cars you drive. It doesn't matter how successful, because you will feel like you are on top of the world and you are content and you are proud of who you are and you are doing what you came here to do. Your relationships will flourish, and it is so simple, but it takes time. It takes discipline. When Jesus died on the cross, he suffered. He suffered for us. Who is going to suffer with God? And it's not even suffering because these things were killing you anyways. Yes, it's going to hurt to let go of smoking. Yes, it's going to hurt to let go of people. But know that he is there with you in that suffering and walking you through it, saying, let's go. You know what I'm saying? Because he's bringing you back to life. He's bringing you out of that cell that you are in right now. And even if you die, you may still have to go through that period for a while, or you could just go right into the gates and say, hey, I did the work here. And the whole point of what the message of God in the Bible is say, hey, you don't have to burn in hell. You don't have, in fact, you're not even going to burn. I'm just there to love you. I'm there to show you that I was there the whole time. And right now you could be experiencing that, and your whole entire family and all the kids below you could be changed. It's time to get out of the cell. It starts with you. It starts with silence. It starts with letting go. It starts with discipline. Discipline is love. If you love yourself, you will take the steps necessary to be a man for yourself, to be a woman that could raise a child, to be a man that could take care, provide for a family. It's time to stop being a child. Bring the energy of the child, but don't think immaturely like a child, because you are powerful. And when you get into that state of consciousness and that state of mind, your whole entire life will actually revolve around you, because there's no leaders in society. People don't actually know who to listen to. All they hear is lies. So once you get real with yourself, you know who you are, you know what you believe, you're going to change the world. It's not a question. You are powerful. You are meant for greatness. You were physically designed to have the same power that Jesus had and more. But society has put so many lies to keep you from believing that, because they're scared of it. They're scared of what's going to happen when this person actually believes in themselves. What happens when they stop being depressed? What happens when they stop watching porn? What happens when they fix that relationship with their mother, with their brother, with their husband? What happens?
Amen, bro. Amen. You know, reality is a mirror. And so the things that you're experiencing in your outer reality today are just indicative of something within yourself that you have yet to heal. And so when you go internal and you fix those things and then you come back out, you'll see reality begin to shape into what your consciousness is. And I think that's a really big thing. Elijah, what action steps, what actionable tactical knowledge? Someone is a wandering generality. They're living a life of sin. They haven't quite figured out how to walk the path, but they hear this message and they go,